2021, I went with Frank Slootman and Elon Musk. Chamath went with Satya Nadella. Sachs went with Brian Armstrong, and Friedberg went with Jack Dorsey. Now we go on to 2022. Sachs, who? Everybody wants to know Sachs's best CEO of 2022. Go ahead, Sachs.
Every founder who took my advice to get leaner, slow down their burn, create runway, weather the storm. Down,
So you're giving a generic answer, not a person.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, look, I think actually a lot of the names, well, here's the problem is that,
let him do it.
Yeah. Can I finish, JK? The names that you mentioned from last year would be the top candidates for this year. I mean, I think Satya Nadella had a good year. Obviously, what Elon's doing, we just talked about, it's amazing. Brian Armstrong, I think the stock hasn't done great, but he's been a strong CEO. But I don't want to repeat the same names. I think that every CEO who responded to the regime change by cutting costs, getting leaner, extending runway, I think deserves to be on this list. And unfortunately, a lot of them are just resisting and they're just not yet taking the medicine, or they've been taking the medicine in little drips and drabs instead of just like swallowing it whole and getting a move on.
Yeah, just drink the whole 2 tablespoons of medicine. Don't sip it. You got to just take it.
It's not getting better. I mean, the stock market today should be a wake-up call. I mean, this was one of the worst days in the market the whole year. So things are getting worse before they're getting better.
Chamath, who is your best CEO of the year?
Well, the numerical answer is Vicky Holub, who's the CEO of Occidental Petroleum. Stock's up like 140% this year. It's technically the best performing stock of the year. $63 billion company. But that's just a numerical answer. Who I actually want to double down on David's answer, Sachs's answer, because I agree with that. I have been guiding our portfolio company CEOs to be at cash flow break even now or extend runway to Q1 2025. And they're
25.
Yes, because I think Elon
not 24.
Elon and I are kind of roughly in the same place we have been for a while, which is like, mid 24 is when the recession ends and you need to give yourself 2 to 3 quarters of buffer so that you can go and raise around, which takes a quarter to 2 quarters. And once you start to get escape velocity out of a recession, having money through end of Q1 2025, I think is a minimum requirement. And, of the companies that I think were the most precariously positioned, there was 5 of them that got their acts together and really did it. But these are all CEOs of companies that, if I said them, you would know some of them. But I do agree with David. I think the CEO that bit the bullet. So maybe publicly what I would say is, the CEO of Klarna deserves a huge, medal for having the courage to do it before anybody else did. The CEO of Checkout.com just took a huge write down. These CEOs are making sure their companies survive.
Friedberg, best CEO 2022.
My vote for best CEO is Warren Buffett. And I think it is just simple arithmetic. He has for years and now for decades proven himself to be not just an exceptional investor, stock picker, whatever the kind of typical quip is about what he does for a living. But I think what's so extraordinary about Buffett is that regardless of the market conditions, he can kind of remain steadfast in his intent and in his mission, and he doesn't kind of waver. And he doesn't take an active role in ranting and complaining about markets and politics. And I think that that's what makes him such an extraordinary leader. He stays within his zone of competence. He doesn't do things that he doesn't know about. He doesn't let the macro drive him and cause him to be kind of, affected by it. And he says, this is what I know how to do. This is what I can do. And that is all that he does do. And he does it so exceptionally well. And to Chamath's point, he is the largest shareholder of Occidental Petroleum, along with many other incredible businesses. And I think he's proven in a market like we just had this year why he is kind of the most extraordinary CEO, or one of the most extraordinary CEOs, but one of the best kind of capital allocators of all time.
I'm going to go in a similar fashion as Chamath and Sachs and go with the money-losing CEOs who have dedicated themselves to free cash flow and to getting to profitability. From the last cycle, Airbnb and Uber were the money losers. And now Airbnb is my number one. They become a money printer. They are now making bank. And they're still growing very quickly. And then Uber, I put in my second. They need to do another riff. They need to cut some expenses, but they too are hitting the free cash flow and the network effects. So I'm giving it to Chesky and then Dara.